do that. So, Chapter 1 basically goes over, what an NCA is, which is how I pronounce it, but there's a lot of argument as far as how you're supposed to pronounce it. I don't know what's correct. I've heard people say Ankyle before. I say Ansia. Just the same as, like, some people say Camarilla, whereas some people say Camarilla. I think it's all, like, I think it's really, like, up to, the person that's running the game as far as, like, how it's pronounced, or even, like, how your character would say it, because our characters are from all over the world, and they would have different pronunciations for things. But yeah, so it tells you a little bit about ANSIA characters, what that means as far as, in the game, and then also mechanics-wise as well, when you're thinking about making a character. It also includes rules for storytellers on how to quickly make ANSIA characters for the coterie to interact with. Just some quick stats that you can toss onto a page and then flesh out with backstory, which is super helpful to have those cheat sheets of how to do stuff. I know as a storyteller, sometimes I'm coming up with NPCs on the fly. You have to be kind of quick at it, and having a backbone of how you're supposed to do it is really helpful. So one of the cool things is that in V5 before, it was really hard to play something at a lower generation. You were kind of encouraged to play either the 12th, 13th, or 14th generations, which is all well and good if you want to play a neonate story, or even a lower powered ANSIA story, say if you were like a 12th gen. This book gives you the ability to play either 12th gen up until 8th gen, which 8th generation vampires in V5 are pretty strong. Your blood potency obviously goes up. Your humanity drops the lower generation you go. Now in character creation, you have two choices when you go for disciplines. It's kind of like the choice that you get when you choose skills, whether you go with the Jack of all trades, balanced, or specialist. Now when you select disciplines, you have the option of either focused or strategic, which focused is 2 dots in one discipline, 1 dot in another in clan, and then 1 dot of any other clan. As a storyteller, I would still restrict certain disciplines from being able to be learned, such as blood sorcery or oblivion, unless you happen to be in a clan that had access to those. And then the other option is for strategic, which is 2 dots in a clan discipline, and then 1 dot in 2 different out-of-clan disciplines. I believe let me reference the book, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Yes, so 2 dots in a clan discipline, and then 2 dots to spread over 2 out-of-clan disciplines, which can kind of round you out and give you access to some of those clan disciplines that might kind of flesh out your character, like giving potence to your Ventru, or something like that. And see a characters using the character creation rules in Memoriam start at Humanity 7 and drop down from there. There's a couple new coterie types, which, are pretty cool, including one that has, like, it references, like, you being enemies within the coterie, but you're You're like working together towards a goal, like begrudgingly, even though you hate each other, which sounds very vampire. Um, there is a new predator type called Tithe Collector, which is basically you are lording over other younger vampires to present you with vessels to feed upon. Um, that seems pretty cool. I think that would be like really flavorful for like, a powerful Ventru with like some influence and stuff like that, getting neonates to bring him people to feed on of the correct type as far as his blood of choice. Um, there's a couple of new advantages, including a couple of flaws. A lot of these things tie directly to the intention of how they want ANSEA to work in this new system. So these advantages aren't necessarily going to be useful for everybody. I think a lot of them are pretty much only useful for ANSEA characters. But, there might be some exceptions here or there. The thing that really sets this book apart is the Oceans of Time. That says that when you reach a certain age, you've gone through certain life events that shape your existence as a kindred. For example, if you have lived at least 100 years, you choose three of these events, and the events can range to like all different kinds of stuff, even including Topor. You could say that like, oh yeah, for a decade or so I was in Topor, and the thing that's really cool about this is that they give mechanical benefits as well. So not only do you get a backstory reason for what you were doing during the 60s, but you also get some experience and maybe some dots. So to give you an example, there is a time of violence. You indulge your beast, letting it loose upon your enemies and any others who are in the way. Lose 1 humanity, gain 15 experience points to spend on disciplines. Anytime this error is chosen, roll a die. On a 1 to 5, you gain the Dark Secret flaw and cannot choose this error again. So they're very thematic in what they can do, and some of them have those die rolls on them that will, either give you like something negative or something positive depending on what you roll. So that's really cool. There's like 8 different eras to choose from. So 100 years gets 3 eras. 150 years gets 4 eras and you lose a humanity. 151 years plus gets 5 eras and loses 2 humanity. At character creation, your humanity cannot drop below 4, which is a good thing, because in my Chronicles, I rule it that if you drop below humanity 4, you become an NPC, because nobody wants to deal with a humanity 3 vampire trying to do god-awful things. It tends to derail a Chronicle, at least in my opinion. They give a list of what they call archaic specialties, which means that at character creation, when you select specialties, you select specialties based off of the eras that you've gone through. So if you had a specialty in firearms, your specialty might be in flintlock pistols, it might not be, oh, I'm super good with Glock 17. No, like, when you were good at pistols, you were, priming charges and trimming wicks and things like that. So that could be detrimental to you, and they go over that a little bit into the book. It also deals a lot with history. And I think it's really cool how they present history in this book. They not only have a section on mortal history, going over, like big events that have happened in mortal history, how it ties into the kindred, gives you a couple of examples of NPCs or, scenes or events that could have happened in that time, with examples like the War of Independence. They've got um, they've got a bunch of stuff in there. They also have a section on kindred history, which is super useful for new players that have no idea what has happened in the, 30 years of vampire history. So it has like key events that have happened in the lore in vampire history. Again, gives you some NPCs, gives you some scenes to think about, notable people. That way, when you're writing your kindred and you're like, oh, I lived through the Night of Bloody Tears, I can now tell you what that is. I can tell you where I was, who I was talking to, all of that. That being said, if you're a player of Vampire the Masquerade, be nice to your storyteller. If they ask you for a backstory, I'm pretty sure they don't mean 29 pages back and front. We don't need to know every day of your life. Believe me, I've gotten that before, and I don't want to read homework. One of the things that I like when people write a backstory is, rather than writing it like a story sometimes it's best to just jot it down as bullet points, unless there's something that you really need to go into, say like an inter-character interaction. But yeah, like massive backstories can be daunting for a storyteller, especially when you have like 5 or 6 of them to read before sessions start. After the history section, they go into dealing with the future, like how you take a character that has been alive for this long and move them into the modern world and get them to work, which is pretty cool. They also deal with touchstones a lot, because obviously if you've lived for this long, you've probably gone through a couple of sets of touchstones, because your touchstones will obviously age out, die, you'll need to get new touchstones, all of that. So it goes over the importance of touchstones for older characters. It has a section telling you how to deal with low humanity characters, and how to not only roleplay that possibly, but also a path to try and raise your humanity, which, in the intention of the game should be what you're trying to do. Because in Vampire the Masquerade, it's a game of personal horror. You're trying to not succumb to the beast, not become this monstrous thing. You're trying to remember what it's like to be human. That's the point of having the touchstones and all of that. There's a big section on storytelling, giving storytellers hints on how to use ancilla characters in a story, tie them into the city, how influential they should be, and all of that, which is really cool too. There are a few new blood sorcery rituals in the back of the book, but I think the thing that is the most useful for character creation is there are a bunch of new lore sheets, including one that is the lineage of Dracula, which, like, what Tzimisce doesn't want to be like, yo, Dracula's my granddaddy, like, that's pretty cool. I read through that one a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of the Tzimisce. I've only played them once in Revised Edition. They're not my favorite clan, but, Dracula's my homeboy. So, In Memoriam, it's out now. Really cool. I think it's a must-have for your V5 collection. I know most of you out there are book goblins and will want to have everything that exists for the system, which I don't blame you, because nothing sucks more than deciding that you need a book and it's gone out of print, and then now you either have to pay $200 to get it, or you just can't get it at all. I got into D&D 5th edition kind of late, and had to pay a stupid amount of money for a couple of books that were really hard to get, and that made me a very sad boy. So yeah, pick it up. It's really cool. If this is your first time on this channel, like and subscribe really helps me. Also, click the link below check out my games, and I hope to see you at a table sometime.